अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयोः श्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। Shiva Shiva, Om Namah Shivaya. Soham, Soham. I am He, I am He. I possess nothing but God. I believe that a man and woman who can speak with such assertion shall be carried forward by a mighty impulse and will lead the country towards the higher ideal by bringing out their most sacred qualities.
Swamiji, you have visited my Ruskin school in Wimbledon. I am still improving my method. Every day I discover new elements. These children are free, but several of them are slow to develop because I don't know how to neutralize quickly enough the mental complexes which impede them. The child in itself is an entire science. Each has a right to complete self-expression. That is the essential condition of development which I offer them.
Ah, my poor children of India, who are abandoned to the darkest ignorance. Their lot is so lamentable that they imagine they are born to be oppressed by all those who have money. They have completely lost their individuality and their self-esteem. Can you imagine their misery? Even if we could give them free education in every village, the poor children would still be forced to work in the fields to earn their living rather than attend school. We have no money and therefore we cannot educate them. The problem seems hopeless, but I am searching for a solution. If the poor can't come to the school must go to them.
If God wills it, I will come and work with you. Let us unite our efforts.
You don't realize what would await you out there. The wandering monk lives with no roof over him, always on the move under the torrid sun. But a day will come one day, I believe, when they will go in groups into the villages, and when evening falls and the peasants return from their long labors in the fields, they will sit among them and speak to them. They will bring them not only their religion, but also education in the Western sense. They will speak to them of India. With the help of magic lanterns, they will instruct them in astronomy and history. They will show them how other people live. They will show them maps of the worlds and atlases. We shall impart ideas of morality to the people and the hope of self-development. Once done, our mission will end. Then it is for them to do the rest.
her life to the Swami to collaborate with him in his work.
We also want to go to India to work with you. Swamiji, how can I serve you the best?
Love India and serve her. Worship this land which is a prayer crying out towards heaven.
We have Josephine McCloy and her family who are very much willing to contribute. I miss the studies. I also want to join you. Hello, I am Mr. Goodwin. I will be your companion too. I am Captain Xavier. I will also join with my family in the development. Swamiji, please allow us to come with you and be a part of New India. I'm from Miss Henrietta May's family and I will join in your efforts. We are Lady Isabella Margeson's family. Mr. and Mrs. Bull would like to join too. We want to help you too, Swamiji. Please can we come with you?
For my own part, I will be incarnated 200 times, if that is necessary to do this work among my people that I have undertaken. Yes, in India. That is where we belong, Margot, but only when you're ready.
Jai Ramakrishna, Jai Holy Mother Sharada Devi, Jai Swami Vivekananda. On the day she left, a cold rain was falling, lashing the windows of the cab which took her to Tilbury. Everyone was shivering with emotion. Mother, sister, brother, Octavia's Betty, and Ebenezer Cook waited on the quay until the ship disappeared in the fog. For a long time they could see Margaret standing on the deck, hatless, her face crowned with her golden hair. She was strangely beautiful and serene, no longer belonging to them, but blessing her with infinite love. Already her blue eyes were seeking far off light toward which she moved. In her hand she held a letter, in which Swami Vivekananda had written.
The tusks of the elephant come up but never go back, so are the words of a man never retracted. I promise you, I will stand by you unto death.
To become a real educator of Hindu women, Nivedita must become a Hindu woman herself. All that a Hindu woman inherited at birth must come to Margaret through acquired knowledge. But how will she get it? I know how. Swami would record the famous woman of India's sacred history, Sita, Mirabai, and all their sisters to Nivedita to help Margaret, which helped her to transform into Sister Nivedita of Ramakrishna Vivekananda.
Sister Nivedita made the first Indian flag, and that is why the flag came to be known as Sister Nivedita's flag. The flag contained red and yellow color, where red color signified freedom struggle, and yellow color was a symbol of victory. The flag had the words Vande Mataram, which was written in Bengali. The flag also contained a figure of Vajra, weapon of god Indra, and a white lotus in the middle. The Vajra signifies strength, and lotus depicts purity.
বন্ধ করে দিন।
Vande
Thank you very much, children. That was a fantastic performance. And judging by the number of awes I heard coming from the audience, you were truly adorable. So thank you. So I will request you all to remain on the stage, and I shall invite Miss Anna Avis to award the certificates to the children for their participation. So I'll just pull up the names. Shall we? Adrita Chatterjee, would you like to come over and receive the certificate from Miss Anna Avis? There you go. Abhinava Das. Anushka Pathak. Atrey Debroy. Anvasha De. Anvasha De? No, okay. Thank you. That's okay. Anvasha De? There you go. Thank you. Abhiraj Das. Thank you. Debarun Deb. Jia Pal. Josh Pal. Nilaksh De. Pranjal Sarkar. Raunak Ghosh. Raunak De. Rohan Agastya Ganguly. Shoham Sharkar. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, he's coming. Okay. Don't waste time. Just go on the next. Oh, there he is. Thank you, Shoham. Shubham Chatterjee. Shayan Datta. Oh, there you go. Shudipta Roy. Shomangshu Pal. Sneharga Bhattacharya. Smitakshi Roy. Shreyan Mukherjee. Shayak Shaha. And last but not the least, Vivan Dalvi. Hey! Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Anna Avis. Next on our agenda is a program that is dedicated to Ma Sharada, the Holy Mother. Her maternal affection knew no bounds, and she had famously said that the Hindu Sharad was as much a son to her as was the Muslim Amjad, and that she was the mother of both the wicked and the innocent. The first song is a Sanskrit shloka on Ma Durga, and it is a dedication to the Universal Mother, Ma Sharada. So can I please welcome onto stage Devjani, who will be accompanied by Shomendu and Devobroto.
Good evening to all. I'm really honored to be here today on this auspicious day, and my heartiest thanks goes to Sharada Sharkar, who has invited me here today.
Thank you very much, Debjani. That was so melodious. Our next song is also in appreciation of the Holy Mother, written by Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore. To give some context, when Nivedita arrived in Kolkata, the city was steeped in rigid social norms and tradition. However, she found in Ma Sharoda not only a mother who provided her with shelter, but a woman with a liberal, progressive mind. The song can be interpreted as Nivedita telling the Holy Mother of her hopes and dreams. Over to our choir now, accompanied by Shomendu on the keyboard and Debabrata on the tabla. beauty in unity. However, I would still like to thank the individual singers. They were Debjani, Shelly, Rima, Monty, Shruti Rupa, Lily, Hoymonti. On the keyboard, we had Shomendu, and on the tabla, we had Devobrotu. Thank you very much. Next, I would like to invite onto the stage Miss Emily Buchanan, who is the great-granddaughter of Frank and Betty Leggett. Betty Leggett is the sister of Josephine MacLeod, who was a devotee of Swami Vivekananda.
Well, I'm delighted to be here amongst such eminent dignitaries, and I'm aware that probably all of you are way more qualified than me to speak about Swami Vivekananda or Nivedita or any of that whole movement. And I'm here with my cousin Mary, and sadly our other cousin Lord Sandwich couldn't be here tonight. We're all sort of descendants of Josephine MacLeod. I have actually two family threads which connect me to Swami Vivekananda and Nivedita. And without wanting to confuse you with family trees, basically the parents of my grandmother, Frances Leggett, and the parents of my grandfather, David Margeson, living on different sides of the Atlantic, in an extraordinary twist of fate, met Swami Vivekananda completely separately. Both families were so inspired by him, they ended up befriending him and helping him spread his teaching. It all began in 1895 on the American Leggett side. My great-great-aunt, Josephine MacLeod, went with her sister, Betty Leggett, to hear Swami Vivekananda speak in New York. Like many educated women of the time, his message spoke powerfully to them. For Jo, it was the beginning of a lifetime passion for him and his work. And she later said, when he spoke his first words to her, instantly, to me, that was the truth. And the second sentence he spoke was truth, and the third sentence was truth. And I listened to him for 7 years, and whatever he uttered was truth. A few years later, my great-great-aunt Isabel Margeson, living over here, had seen the headline, "A great yogi has come to London," and she went to hear Swami Vivekananda. Later, she lent her drawing room in St. George's Road for his classes, and it was there that he met Margaret Noble and other English disciples. Josephine MacLeod and Margaret Noble, Sister Nivedita, became very close friends. Jo helped her edit her writings, supported her hugely through some very difficult times, and would even advise her on her dress sense. Jo, in turn, admired Margaret's deep spirituality. Josephine MacLeod became Vivekananda's networker and publicist, as well as a confidant and trusted friend. Although she was always keen to point out that she was not a disciple, she never married and spent a good deal of her energies helping him. Vivekananda often writes about how much he relied on her to organize things. And, of course, Sister Nivedita, too, became a key driver for the spread of his work. Vivekananda interestingly recognized that he needed sort of the wealthy and the privileged and the well-connected if he was to really help the poor. And even though he was very critical of the British Raj, when it came to social networking, nothing at that time could beat it. He said, "The British Empire, with all its drawbacks, is the greatest machine that has ever existed for the dissemination of ideas. I mean to put my ideas in the center of this machine so they will spread all over the world." Well, this need to spread his word and to bring development and Western ideas to the East led to an extraordinary mold-breaking trip to India. Vivekananda, accompanied by Josephine, Margaret Noble, and another American, Sarah Bull, went to Calcutta and then on to Kashmir. You've probably seen the picture flashing by today, and the three women were known as the Trinity. And one can only imagine, as you look at that photograph of these three ladies with their long dresses and their parasols, traveling with this Indian Swami, what an impression they must have made on late 19th century India, when white people weren't supposed to mix too closely with the local population. They certainly would have ruffled a few feathers and broken some taboos, and I guess it was the first ever hippie trail. In between the hectic lecturing around America, Swami Vivekananda was a regular visitor to Jo's sister Betty and Frank Leggett's house in upstate New York, Ridgely. It became a place of rest and refuge for him, very important as he struggled with his debilitating health problems. Here he could just be himself, humorous and human. And there were romps and wrestling with Frank Leggett. His fondness for ice cream was legendary. And then there's a wonderful story of Frank taking him to a golf course. Vivekananda faced a par 4 hole. He was told that as a beginner he'd be lucky to do it in 7 or 8 shots. Vivekananda, of course, said, I can do it in 1. Impossible, said Frank Leggett. But the Swami fixed his gaze on the hole, swung the club, and the ball did go in 1. Frank was, as you can imagine, flabbergasted. Although he clearly has an unrecognised talent for golf, I personally admire hugely what Swami Vivekananda did for women. I sometimes wonder if Jesus had been around at the time, he would have had female disciples too. The women loved him, and he saw the huge value they had to help him. He was a great progressive thinker to see that women and the drive for education that they can promote was and still is the most important factor in raising the level of development in a society. And the women he had contact with seemed to become powerful in themselves. Sister Nivedita's achievements have long outlasted her own life, while my great-great-grandmother, who hosted the Swami in London, Isabel Margeson, became a suffragette and found a member of the Women's Institute. But I'll leave you with this poignant description in my grandmother's book, Late and Soon, of the so-called Great Summer of 1899 at Ridgely. The Swami was back from India, having founded the Ramakrishna Monastery. He brought with him 2 monks and Sister Nivedita. It was a happy time with a constant flow of visitors to the house. The golden days and velvet nights and walks under the stars barefooted on the dewy grass, and talks of God and the human soul, and last hours, gatherings in the hall, doors open to the summer night, while the song of crickets interpenetrated the Swami's rolling sentences that none dared answer, as one by one they crept silently to bed. A mighty movement had been set in motion, one that would outspan their personal lives, and God himself seemed to walk and talk with them. But in a special way for Joe, those hours were sweet, and they would not come again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emily. That was lovely to hear from the family. Now let me welcome Mr. Sanjeev Chadha, Regional Head of the State Bank of India in UK and our lead sponsor. And thanks to him for allowing so much of this to happen.
Swamiji, ladies and gentlemen, just want to say it's a great privilege for State Bank of India to be associated with this unveiling of the plaque of Sister Nivedita. When I heard all of you speak again, it strikes a very deep resonance with the story of State Bank of India. Like Sister Nivedita's life, State Bank of India's story is the story of the interaction of Britain and India. And again, like her, we have a very deep connection with Bengal. State Bank of India started in 1806 as the Bank of Bengal. And all these years, like Sister Nivedita, it has transformed itself into an instrument of Indian nationhood and Indian development. It also is, again, a very important part of the abiding connection between UK and India. We have been here in UK since 1921 in London, and now we have 7 branches in London, 5 outside London. And this year, we'll be making a UK-based subsidiary again to make sure that this connection strengthens and endures. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we have Mr. Jay Lakhani, Head of the Hindu Academy in London, a theoretical physicist and the first Hindu teacher to be appointed by Eton College for Religious Study. Welcome.
Namaste everybody, and special namaste to the spiritual children of Sri Sri Ramakrishna. You see, I've been asked to spend 5 minutes to kind of summarize the life and the major message of this major prophet of modern India. You may think he's just a prophet more for India. It's not really right. He's prophet of humanity. We are going to find out in no time. You see, here we find a fiery, individual, and his fieriness is seen in the way he chooses his chief disciple. Not somebody from his own nationality, not an Indian, not from his same gender, not a male, not the same religion, not even a Hindu. See the versatility of this majestic personality. In ancient time we had Buddha. Buddha's message spread towards Southeast Asia and conquered that particular part of the world. The hearts and minds of the people were conquered. This modern fiery prophet is not just prophet for India, he's the prophet of humanity. And Sister Nivedita is a signal of him cutting across religious, national, social boundaries and choosing a disciple from somewhere quite a different nation. Now let me just share a private story about Sister Nivedita. About 15 years ago, the BBC approached me. They said, Mr. Lakhani, we are struggling to communicate with the Nivedita school in Calcutta. They keep refusing to talk to us. It's understandable. Can you please open the doors for us? I said, sure, I will do that for you. So I talked to the school headmistress, said, can you please participate in the process? They are doing a documentary on Sister Nivedita, BBC. This is a fantastic news. You must participate. They said, okay, Mr. Lakhani will participate. I'm telling the true story. And the documentary came out on BBC Radio 4. And they said, Mr. Lakhani, you can listen to it now. And do you know what the documentary was labeled as? To just show you how things are moving now. The documentary was called Sisters of Kali. They were equating this marvelous personality, this grand kind of personality of this nation, equating her to the suicide bombers of Sri Lanka. And I was shuddered. And since then I've been having very robust interaction with the BBC, as you perhaps know, and I keep winning without any doubt. You see, the thing is this, look my friends, Nivedita came for the betterment of India. Vivekananda has come for the betterment of the whole world. You see, in 1893, for the first time the gentleman got recognition. In the Parliament of Religion, the first thing he produced was the teaching for the first time visible on the stage, on the world stage. The teaching of pluralism, many ways to be spiritual, not any one. No one particular method is monopoly on the idea of spirituality. Here we see for the first time the idea of pluralism given to them on the world stage. And ironically, do you know what date that was? 9/11, 1893. Madame Banerjee was struggling with the date. It was 1893, 9/11, very iconic. Ironic, I should say. Now you see, the world is still, it took the Western world to recognize Nivedita after such a long time, to recognize that one of their own who was working within the integrity of the Hindu system to empower the Hindus. This is the reason why we love her. She didn't come to denigrate us, but to work within the integrity of our tradition. That's why we love her. Now I'm telling you, this Vivekananda has come, not for the betterment of India, but for the betterment of the whole world. Because here for the first time a message which is so universal was presented on the world stage. And do you think the West has adopted it? No. I struggle to present that idea of pluralism. There are such exclusivist lobbies that would stop me, including the BBC. This message will be heard either before we become bloodied or after we become more bloodied in the name of religion. So this marvelous teaching yet to be embraced by the West, given by the modern fiery prophet of humanity, is yet to be recognized and valued by the West. Thank you, my friends.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lakhani. It was very interesting to learn about your perception of Swami Vivekananda and Sister Nivedita. So thank you very much.